Have you ever paused, maybe while waiting for a package, to consider how the stuff in your life, like everything from your morning coffee beans to your phone, actually gets to you? It often travels across entire continents. It's this monumental, almost invisible network running constantly. It really makes global trade even possible. It's pretty amazing when you start thinking about
It
it.
really is,
There you
just
go.
humming along in the background.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something absolutely fundamental, the global shipping and logistics market. And we're looking at some detailed forecasts, right, from 2021 out to 2033.
Exactly. And, this market, it's so much more than just the big container ships or the trucks you see on the highway. It's really this huge integrated web of services, infrastructure, think ports, warehouses, advanced tech, complex systems, all designed for one thing: moving, storing, and delivering goods efficiently.
So it's the whole chain.
Precisely. It's basically the backbone of global trade. It's essential for economic growth, for making sure supply chains actually work across pretty much every single industry. We're talking everything from like freight forwarding, warehousing, all the way to that final step, the last mile delivery, and coordinating different transport types: ships, trains, trucks.
Right. So our mission today is to pull out the key insights, maybe some surprising facts, from the sales revenue numbers and projections. We want to look at the key markets, different regions, and just get a handle on the sheer scale and the expected growth of this, well, vital industry.
Sounds good. It's a fascinating area.
Okay, let's start with the big picture then, globally. Just to ground us, what was the total market size back in 2021? Like the revenue?
Yeah, so in 2021, the global shipping and logistics market, it generated a really staggering 1,097.64 billion in sales revenue.
Wow. Okay, over $1 trillion. Just
Yeah,
let that number sink in.
it's huge.
And where does it go from there? Is it growing steadily?
Oh, absolutely. It didn't stand still. By 2025, that figure jumped significantly to $1,317.9 billion. And looking ahead, the projection hits an impressive $1,899.87 billion by 2033.
Almost 1.9 trillion.
Exactly. So what's really interesting here is just how consistent and substantial that growth is right across the board. It really highlights how interconnected our global economy is becoming and how much we rely on these robust supply chains,
Yeah.
nearly doubling in just over 10 years.
That's quite something for what you might think of as a mature sector.
Uh-huh.
So what's driving this? Is it the same everywhere, or are some regions really, pushing the growth?
That's a great question. It's definitely not uniform. Let's break it down by region, zoom in a bit.
Okay, where should we start?
Well, if you're looking for the powerhouse, it has to be Asia Pacific. It's the clear leader. Back in 2021, that region hit $437.959 billion in the projection, a dramatic expansion to $795.479 billion by 2033.
Almost $800 billion just in Asia Pacific.
Yeah, its dynamism is really a key driver for the entire global picture.
Okay, so what's behind that massive growth in Asia Pacific specifically? What makes it tick?
It's kind of a perfect storm, really.
Yeah.
You've got the fact that it's the world's manufacturing hub, right? That alone generates enormous amounts of freight. Then add in the explosive growth of trade within the region, plus the boom in e-commerce. People buying more online demands super efficient logistics, especially for that tricky last mile delivery.
Right, getting it to the actual doorstep.
Exactly. And on top of that, there's been huge investment in things like port infrastructure and digital logistics platforms, making everything smoother.
That makes a lot of sense. So if we look inside Asia Pacific, which countries are really standing out?
Well, China is still the dominant player. It went from about $130.7 billion in 2021 and is expected to reach nearly $223 billion by 2033. That's driven by its huge manufacturing base and growing domestic demand. But what's really interesting is seeing how other nations are climbing fast. Japan is still very significant, projected to grow from roughly $89 billion to $149 billion. Think advanced industries, complex supply chains. And then you have India. This is a big story. It's projected to more than double its revenue, from around $56 billion in 2021 to almost $117 billion by 2033.
Wow, double.
Yeah, and that's not just a number. It reflects this booming e-commerce scene, more people online buying things, and importantly, significant government investment in modernizing logistics, roads, ports, tech, making it easier to move goods everywhere.
That's a major shift. Any other key players there?
Definitely. South Korea shows strong growth too, from about $34 billion to $56 billion. That often ties into its high-tech manufacturing and exports. And you also see robust growth across Southeast Asia as a whole. Think countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand. Collectively, they're going from $37 billion to over $75 billion.
What's driving that collective growth?
A lot of it is companies diversifying their supply chains, maybe moving some production there, plus growing trade between those countries themselves. It really highlights the need for, good transport networks connecting them all.
Okay, fascinating. So from the dynamism of Asia, let's shift to North America, a more established market, right? Recorded about $317 billion in 2021, projected to reach almost $523 billion by 2033. What does this tell us?
Right, North America. The numbers there really speak to the continued importance of having a very solid, sophisticated logistics infrastructure already in place. The U.S. obviously makes up the lion's share. It's going from around $243 billion in 2021 up to nearly $393 billion by 2033.
And what underpins that growth in the U.S.?
A lot of it is the complex networks for freight forwarding across states, massive warehousing systems needed for quick e-commerce fulfillment, and ongoing investment in things like automation and distribution centers to keep things moving fast.
Makes sense. And Canada and Mexico.
They also show strong growth. Canada goes from about $36 billion to $68 billion. Mexico from $38 billion to almost $62 billion. This reflects strong trade ties, across borders and increasing industrial activity.
Okay, let's cross the Atlantic. Europe. A diverse continent, generated about $206 billion in 2021, projected to hit roughly $337 billion by 2033. How does its story compare?
Europe's growth is maybe a bit different. It's characterized by its highly integrated internal market. They have really well-established multimodal transport. Rail, road, rivers, canals are all heavily used.
Right, different ways to move goods.
Exactly. Germany really stands out, projected to grow from about $36 billion to nearly $55 billion. Strong industrial base, very central location.
And the other big economies?
The UK, France, Russia also show steady, solid expansion. The UK is projected to go from $23 million to $34 billion, France from roughly $20 billion to $37 billion, and Russia from $26 billion to about $40 billion. But what's also interesting in Europe is how even the smaller economies, think Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, even Luxembourg, they all contribute significantly. It shows how widespread and essential logistics are across the whole continent, supporting everything.
Okay, now let's look south. South America achieved about $73.5 billion in 2021, but expected to grow to nearly $142 billion by 2033. That's almost doubling. What's happening there?
Yeah, that near doubling is significant. Brazil is the major player, expected to go from about $24 billion to $44 million. But you also see strong growth in Argentina, projected to go from roughly $10 billion to over $20 billion, and Colombia from $6 billion to over $12 billion. Again, doubling or close to it.
And the drivers.
It suggests a few things. Increasing economic integration within the region, probably growing middle class demanding more consumer goods, and definitely ongoing investment in infrastructure, ports, roads to improve connectivity, both for trade within South America and internationally. Warehousing and port logistics are key focuses.
Right. Okay, last but not least, the Middle East and Africa, two regions often seen as emerging markets, but showing significant growth potential here. Middle East, $43 billion in 2021, projected to $63 billion. Africa, almost $20 billion in 2021, projected to nearly $40 billion by 2033, another one almost doubling.
That's right. In the Middle East, Saudi Arabia is a big contributor, growing from nearly $16 billion to about $23 billion. The UAE is also significant, $4 billion to almost $7 billion. A lot of their growth is tied to deliberate strategies to diversify away from oil, positioning themselves as major global logistics and trade hubs. They're investing heavily in state-of-the-art warehousing and leveraging their strategic location for shipping.
And Africa, doubling its market size.
Yeah, that's really striking.
Yeah.
South Africa leads, projected to go from about $6 billion to over $12 billion. Nigeria also shows strong growth, $3.5 billion to almost $7 billion. What's really insightful about both the Middle East and Africa, I think, is that even though their total market size is smaller compared to, say, Asia or North America, their growth rates are incredibly strong.
What does that signify?
It points towards things like rapid urbanization, which creates a huge need for better last-mile delivery in cities. It also suggests increasing diversification of global supply chains, maybe moving into these regions, and the development of new trade corridors and transport hubs to connect places that were previously harder to reach.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway for our listeners, for the global economy? We've painted this picture of a global shipping and logistics market, everything from freight forwarding to getting that package to your door as this multi-trillion-dollar engine. And it's set to grow by almost another $800 billion globally between 2021 and 2033.
Yeah, I think this deep dive really peels back the curtain. It's not just about abstract numbers. It shows the actual arteries of global commerce. It really highlights how fundamental the efficient movement and storage of goods are to, well, pretty much every part of our modern lives. The food we eat, the clothes we wear, the tech we use. And it's clear this essential industry is set for significant continued expansion everywhere, really, fueled by economic shifts and new technologies.
It definitely makes you think. And considering this huge ongoing growth globally, it raises some big questions, doesn't it? Like, what are the implications for sustainability, for tech innovation, AI, automation, maybe even for geopolitics, given how vital these trade routes are?
Absolutely. Those are the big questions looking forward.
Well, hopefully this deep dive gave you some real aha moments, maybe a new appreciation for that incredible, often unseen network that keeps our world supplied and moving. Keep exploring, keep asking questions. And thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the numbers that quite literally shape our world.